It's recorded. Yep.
Excellent.
Okay. Listen, you learn new things every day, right? Thank you, man. I didn't realize that you are so multi-gifted. I mean, you're so multi-talented.
I try. That's one of the reasons why I'm in this seat.
Well, that's
So,
great. That's great.
so it's a pleasure to meet you. I remember when the announcement came out about you becoming the dean there, and just so excited for you. So I'm just elated to be able to connect with you in this way.
Absolutely. Likewise, any chance I get, I should let you know that your information came to me courtesy of our president, Dr. Kesselman,
Excellent.
and he shot this out to me, and I said, wow, wonderful. So I am grateful that he was able to send me the link announcing your appointment. I mean, this is I guess I'm almost not quite 2 years on the job, but I'm excited about, Stockton and the business school, and having the chance to get to know alums like you. It's what makes this job even more rewarding.
That is wonderful. Please give Dr. Kesselman, President Kesselman, my regards. I remember when I was a student there, and he just made himself available to everyone in so many different ways, and was just a great support. So it's wonderful to know that he's there. He's there in the role that he's in. I was able to attend uh, when he was installed as president there.
Okay.
So I attended the ceremony. It was just a delight to see him and so many others. So please, again, extend my regards.
Oh, absolutely. I'm incredibly privileged. Actually, when I met him, I told people that he had me at hello. Okay, and because I really his passion for the institution, was inspiring. And as you know, through the postings on email and what have you, the business school is really poised to help the university grow in Atlantic City. You know, and so the president's commitment to the business school has been incredible, and I'm so delighted to be part of this process. So tell me a little bit about you, Howard. I mean, obviously, you have a commitment to the nonprofit sector. So how did you get into this area?
So it's interesting. When I first started out my career, I started out in the for-profit sector,
Mhm.
and started out on Wall Street, and then wound up working in the hotel industry before going into publishing, and did a long stint in publishing. But what I found myself doing time and time again is working during the day, obviously for shareholder value, but then after hours was working for community value. And that meant, I was volunteering my time and involved in a lot of different civic organizations. What I realized at some point in time in my career is that I really had a passion and commitment in serving the community. And if there is a way to marry up, your career with your service, then what better way to be gainfully employed than doing that? And I found it was easy to do, to make that shift, because I took the tools, the skills that I had developed in the for-profit arena, and leveraged that into the not-for-profit world. And for me, not-for-profit, as I say to many of my folks here, not-for-profit is just a tax status. At the end of the day, you're
Yeah.
still a business. There's still value. You're providing value to a different set of stakeholders.
Right.
And we're competing. It's a competitive market. So there are other not-for-profits that do what we do. If we are partnering with them, great, then we're in collaboration. But if we're not in a collaboration agreement, then it is probable that we're competing against one another for the same dollars and to serve the same people. And people are going to go to you and say, they're going to make a decision. Do you provide the service better than they do, or vice versa? And they will go where they're going to receive the greatest value, the greatest benefit, and the greatest support. So I try and impart that knowledge, and that means that, look, at the end of the day, it's making really efficient and effective use of the dollars that are donated and given to us, as well as the dollars that we raise through grants and contracts or fee for service, and making sure that we can extend those resources as far as possible in delivering the service, as we look to eradicate that which we're causing to address. For us here, It's short and sweet. We are attempting to address those who are homeless, those who are hungry, by providing shelter and food, and looking at the root causes that contribute to that, which largely are around mental health and substance use disorder. And that's what we're about. So full circle, that's, going from for-profit to not-for-profit and winding up here. That's really how I've emerged in the not-for-profit arena, and just wanting to drive as much as possible any way that we can provide the best service to the clients that we serve in an efficient and an effective way.
Oh, that's great. And as I talk to alums and I get to know them, I also sometimes like to, just ask a little bit about, how you've been able to navigate the pandemic. Obviously, you became the chief operating officer and you navigated Evers Village. How did you get through that challenging period for most organizations?
Yeah, and it's still a challenge for us as we continue to navigate it. So for us here at Eva's Village, we have residential programs and outpatient programs. Our residential programs mean that we have people living here with us. So we have a couple hundred residents, congregate living. You can have as many as 4 people to a room. And so, there are a number of things that we have to do. Fortunately, we have a medical director on staff who is able to give us a lot of guidance, and that guidance, really is geared towards following CDC recommendations, masking, social distancing. Also, we had to lower our census. So that meant that as we discharged clients, we didn't bring people in because we were trying to create space between people, and just following a lot of protocols. If we had anybody that became symptomatic, we created quarantine space so that they could isolate and make sure that they were not mixed in with people that were just casually moving about. But we also, if you will, kind of closed off our village. The village has been very open. We're in basically a 4-block radius, if you will. And so the community was able to pass through in a variety of different ways. And what we had to do was try and create a perimeter as much as possible around our different buildings. And in doing so, that meant that you're limiting interaction with the public. Difficult, very difficult, because we have clients that, hey, you want to get outside, you want to get some fresh air, you want to go do some of the things that you could do before. They weren't able to do the things that they did previously, whether it was going to going to the store for cigarettes or whatever they wanted to do. So we went well beyond what we normally would do. And that meant, going to the store and getting cigarettes, getting people to donate DVDs, acquiring DVD players so that way they could be able to watch a movie or watch whatever they needed to watch or wanted to watch, giving people access to the internet in ways that they hadn't had it before, whether it was giving them devices, deploying more Wi-Fi throughout our village so that way people are able to use their own devices. So we did a lot to try and provide access to the internet and to entertainment, but to maintain social distancing for our residential community and for our staff. We went a step further for our staff to say, okay, let's outfit them with the tools to be able to work remotely, as every employer did,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Couldn't come into the office.
Yeah,
Okay, we needed people to be able to work from home, give them the technology to do that. We had already taken some strides towards doing that, and it just meant that we had to ramp up and do that in a better way. And it's caused us to, adapt in our technology strategy, which is perfectly fine. And I think as we come out of the pandemic, we are seeing, like most employers, the consideration for, hey, can people still work remotely? Do they need to be here all the time? And the answer is no, they don't need to be here all the time. And moreover, we all know, studies have shown, people are willing and can be more productive with their time when they're working remotely, right? They're going to give more of their time. They're going to be more direct. And so we're just going to leverage those benefits, and we're seeing them.
well, that's great. That's fantastic. As I often ask along when I get to interact like this. So, tell me about your experience at Stock. I mean, how has that prepared you to be where you're at now? Because I think this is important, as you well know, because it's about paying it forward, and this is the way to inspire our current and hopefully future students who look at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have to tell you, Stockton was so unique and is so unique and dynamic, and prepared me in a variety of different ways. First and foremost, just the connections that were established at Stockton that were maintained were just phenomenal. And when I think about it today and thinking about how Stockton operated then, it led me, when I took on this role, it led me to say to myself, I need to reach out to Stockton because I know so many people that entered the social work field. And I'm curious to know, for example, if Stockton has students that need an internship inside of a social work environment. I want access to those students because, candidly, there are a lot of people that enter this space, but when they get in this space and they realize, substance use disorder, mental health, wow, those are really weighty areas to be in. And not everyone is cut out for that. You don't know it until you're actually trying to deliver that service. But if we can get interns in to be able to gain experience to help them to make career decisions, I want to do that. And that's where Stockton, for me, one of the things that Stockton, offered. I remember Dr. Juanita High when she connected me with the CRDA in Atlantic City years ago. So there was an opportunity to be able to do that. I interviewed with them, and just remember that connection and the offer that I received to go work there. I chose to go elsewhere, but the support systems that existed at Stockton, that's just one example of it. Dr. Kesselman, so as a student leader, I remember, Dr. Kesselman just frequently reaching out, touching base, what do you need, giving some guidance on here's some opportunities. I served on the student government, just all of that was a training ground and helped to develop and prepare me so that when I left Stockton, I was able to enter the workforce with knowledge, experience, and skills that were transferable. And it was great. And because of the size of the school, the intimacy of it all, that community, you didn't get lost in the numbers, right? You weren't just a number, you were a person, you were identifiable. People were there. G. Larry James. Oh, man, what an influence. Mild-mannered, gentle giant, yet influenced so many in so many different ways. So lots of connections, lots of connections. Um, yeah.
That's great. That's fantastic. So, I mean, obviously, with the pandemic, and I call these students now the pandemic students, who have gone through the challenges of learning remotely. What would be your message to them, as they look ahead? We have seniors that will graduate next month, and then continuing students, who have experienced this, life-changing past 1 year of the pandemic. What would be your message to them going forward?
Persevere. Persevere. The pandemic changed the way that um, students are experiencing college and have changed the way employers are sourcing students. Adapt. Adapt through technology. Students today are uniquely poised to enter a workforce that will embrace them because of technology. And we know when it comes to technology, students, your teenagers and 20 somethings, they're all sitting there like this, or they have a tablet in front of them, right?
Yeah.
And they can just do things. In fact, they're wired to do things with technology. Whereas, we're wired to pick up a piece of paper and a pen. No matter how much I love technology,
Yeah.
my first inclination is to pick up a piece of paper and a pen.
Yeah.
Students today are wired to be able to grab a device and to be able to adapt. Um, it's just so between perseverance and adaptation, and the third thing to say to them is know your craft and know it well, know the tools. So they are there for an education. Make sure that they're getting that education, that they understand the core area that they're interested in, but also learn about the supplemental tools that exist and that are available to you that are going to bolster you, that are going to strengthen your position. And last but not least, without a doubt, continuous improvement through continuing education. Everybody looks at a person's credentials to say, what are you doing to stay relevant and knowledgeable about an area that you're in? Demonstrate that, continue that. So education doesn't stop when you leave Stockton, it continues. And you must do that.
Wow, that's fantastic. I mean, you're an inspiration by all accounts. And so, the next question that I want to ask you is, obviously, as an alum, a very prominent alum for that matter, we want to make sure that we stay in touch and stay connected with you. And we just launched our business school dean's executive advisory board. And it's just now getting off the ground. I know you just got into your new position. So maybe down the line, would that be something that you'll be open to, possibly?
Absolutely, I would be open to considering it. I want to hear more about it, what the requirements are, what the commitment looks like. But for Stockton and its continued growth and development, and giving back to Stockton, I'd be more than happy to do that. So please, let's figure that out, what that looks like and how I can be of support.
Okay, that's fantastic, Howard. How can we help you? I mean, how can I, as a dean of your alma mater, how can I help you, Howard, in your new environment and your new position? What can we do for you? Because I think that's important.
I think it would be tremendously helpful, as I mentioned earlier, to be able to, and it's mutually beneficial, obviously, look at the possibility of doing an internship.
Okay.
And there are different needs in my organization. So we've been here for nearly 40 years. So while we're well developed programmatically, there are still areas for improvement. Again, on the social service side and on the clinical side. So we have clinical, which is really tied to our substance abuse services, as well as our mental health services. And then we have our social service side, non-clinical, where we provide sheltering and food services and therefore case management associated with that and referral services to other agencies to be able to assist people. Getting people in as interns, whether it's summer interns or through the year, I'd love to be able to explore that possibility. I recall, by the way, when I was at Stockton, there were a number of students that were from the North Jersey area that came to Stockton, right? And I remember Patterson and Newark, a good number of students. So as they're coming back home for the summer, and if they're looking to gain experience, I want to be able to explore that possibility with them. So whether it's people inside of the social workspace, whether it's someone inside of a finance track that's interested in not-for-profits and has enough knowledge about fund accounting, doesn't have to have the experience, but has enough knowledge about fund accounting. I want to give people an opportunity to come in here and get that experience and cut their teeth and really see what it's all about.
Excellent.
But that's how Stockton can help me, because that means if I'm getting those interns in, where I'm not able to necessarily fund a position fully, I'm getting someone in that can, maybe take on a project, learn, get the experience they need, while also helping us, advance our cause.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's great. I definitely will make a note of that and get our internship coordinators to reach out to your staff and put together perhaps a description or profile of the internship opportunity at Evans Village. I think that would be good.
Excellent.
And I think it's as you well can imagine, we want the students to get hands-on experience. Employers always tell us that internships can sometimes be the game changer. Okay, the student has great, excellent grades and et cetera, and yet there is no real experience to show as you come out of college. That could be a limitation for some employers. So we want to give the students all the available tools at our disposal, including the internships, so that when they graduate and leave campus, we feel confident that they're ready for the job market. So that's a good thing.
Excellent. I'd really like to explore that pretty quickly. Here we are, April, and I'm sure there's some kids that are already making
Yeah,
decisions on what they're doing for their summer. So it's a bit of a late start, but let's see what we can do. And I know the top performers usually already have their decisions made.
yeah. Well, it's probably true, but we have been getting a lot of interest, obviously. Given the labor market the way it is, it's amazing. I mean, unemployment is high, but yet people are not going out there to work. Partly maybe because of fiscal economic policies and unemployment benefits, etc. But yeah, we are beginning to see, if you like, a renewed interest by some students to say, hey, I need to prepare myself for the job market before I graduate. So the internship is one way to go.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah. All right.
That's exciting. And I would consider this to be the first of many conversations.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And so when I want to reach out to you directly, I know I have an email address for you. Has my assistant received all of your direct
That's exactly right.
contact information?
That's exactly right. Yes. Just please, and I'll be happy to make sure that you also have my cell phone if you need to reach me directly anything I can do. Hopefully, as the pandemic loosens its grip on our lives, we can have more face-to-face interactions. Either you come or I come up there. I moved there from Atlanta, Georgia, so
Wow.
yeah, my family is about to make the transition up north to New Jersey. My son is graduating from high school next month. Yeah, so and he's going to be attending Rutgers, right? The neck of the woods there around New Brunswick.
Yes.
So we have to do the calisthenics, juggling, getting the home sold down there and having to find something else here, But yeah, so we're looking forward to it. It'll be an exciting summer for us. So
That is great. Oh, wow. That's exciting.
yeah.
That really. So how many children do you have?
I have three. This is the last one that's in high school. Yeah. The
Good for
others are
you.
in their 20s and they've all, moved on with their careers.
That's great. Good for you. I have three also. My
Okay.
oldest started RIT,
Okay.
and he's there, or I should say, was there, 4-year partial scholarship. Now he's withdrawn, and just needs to, the pandemic really,
Yeah.
made a difference. When you think of it, the kids are home
Yeah.
during the pandemic, then they go off to school to stay in a smaller space.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just, it made no sense.
Yeah.
Functionally, it just made no sense. So it was better for him to come home. We're glad he came back home.
Yeah.
Just taking the rest of his time off, and you know presumably going back in September, and picking back up where he left off. So
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, it was good to talk to you, Howard, and I want to wish you continued success. Your success is our success. And this will be one of many opportunities to share with you what we're doing here at Stockton's Business School. And from time to time, we are going to be having some alumni panels, where we get 2 or 3 of you guys to, share your experiences and, tell your journeys, the stories of your journey, I guess, so that our students can learn from you and gain from your perspective. So that will be something that we're excited about doing.
that's great. That's great. Well, I look forward to participating in any way that I can.
Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah. All right.
Truly a pleasure meeting you.
Absolutely a pleasure. Same here, and continue success. And we'll make this recording available to your folks so that they could do what they need to do.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
All right. Be well.
Okay, have a nice day.
You
Okay.
too. Bye now.